To inform you that our next session is all about the next frontier of entertainment. We're going to quickly set the stage for our next set of panelists as well as they come on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, now this is a session where we'll get to explore how, esports is rapidly evolving into a global entertainment powerhouse. Industry leaders will come together to discuss the growth of competitive gaming and most importantly, its appeal with the audiences worldwide and the new opportunities that it brings for players as well as brands. First up, let me please invite Mridu Bhandari, Senior Anchor and Consulting Editor, Network 18, to spearhead the session. Thank you, Mridu, for joining us. And you and I will now welcome your panelists on stage. So let me go ahead and please invite Anurag Khurana, Chief Executive Officer, NewGen Gaming, and Akshat Rathee, Co-founder and Managing Director, NODWIN Gaming. Gaming industry, everyone together, let's have a powerful round of applause. Come on, now we're talking about the next frontier of entertainment. We'll keep that entertaining as well, but I'm going to quickly hand it over to Mridu. Over to you.
Thank you, Kavya. Good morning, everyone. How's the Josh? Well, let's try that again. Awfully silent room. How's the Josh? Slightly higher. Let's do better this time. How's the Josh now? Okay. I'm hoping by the end of this session, when we do this once more at the end, we're going to hear all of you speak up. All right, so welcome to this very special conversation at the Indian Gaming Convention. We're going to be talking about esports as the next frontier of entertainment. It's no secret that esports industry has taken the world by storm. Today, it's not just looked at as gaming. It is a multi-billion-dollar phenomenon. It is a cultural movement. It is an interesting professional avenue for millions of youngsters. It is also something that the youth of India are very, very excited about. And we have two industry trailblazers to give us insights into what's happening around the esports space. Again, who would have thought maybe 15 years ago that we would be talking about esports as part of the Asian Games, as part of the Commonwealth Games? We are talking Olympics Esports Week as well. So let's rewind a little bit and start at the beginning. Akshat, you're someone who started out almost a decade ago, if I'm not wrong. So NODWIN Gaming organizes a number of, as Akshat calls it, the IPLs of esports around the country, around the world. So give us a sense then, when you started out, what made you recognize the potential of esports? What made you put your money on it in the first place? And today, when you look back and you see esports being recognized in Asian Games, Commonwealth Games, and perhaps the Olympics as well. Is that a moment that you thought you would see so soon? Because 9 years is not really long.
Thank you so much. Look, like most innovations in life, they come because something sucks really bad. So about 10 years ago, there was this thing called funnily enough, the Indian Gaming Carnival, also called IGC. This one's far better. That one had an unmitigated disaster. If it's the fire festival's equivalent, money got stolen. A lot of foreigners had come down to India, and they called Indians cheats and bloody Indians and everything, and it was fairly bad. I've always been a gamer since I was 5, and I was at that inflection point in my life saying, everyone was like, "Kisi ko karna hai?" It's like, "Haan karna hai. This sucks really bad. Haan, bahut kharab hai iske andar." And then the answer was, "Kisko karna hai?" It's like, they were like, "Aap kar lo." And I was drunk sufficiently in that night to go ahead and say yes. I've been carrying that promise ever since, and it was fairly bad, but it's great now, right? And I think this journey wouldn't have been possible without lots of these little cool inflection points that came in, and we'll talk more about them, which is there. But as a case in point, when we started in 2014, my first sponsorship, and I've said this before, was returnable mouse pads. And I say this one more time, returnable mouse pads. So I was given a mouse pad for a tournament, and I was supposed to give it back once the tournament is finished. And I was like, "My salary kaise dunga isko? This is a business, right?" And fortunately, life has been very good. We are part of the Nazara family. We are quasi-listed. We now do northwards of around 400, 500 crores a year. And yeah,
That deserves a huge round of applause. From returnable mouse pads to 500 crores a year, fantastic journey there. Anurag, coming to you as well. Now, talent is something that this industry really needs. It's an industry that's at a nascent stage in India, just a couple of years old. Give us a sense then what companies like yours, like NewGen, are doing to promote esports as a viable professional career option. How are you recognizing raw talent at the grassroots? What are the sort of competitions you're putting them through? And tell us some interesting success stories of kids who've come out of the grassroots and made it big in esports.
So basically, if you ask us, our vision is to become the Ranji Cup for esports. So with that vision, we started our company. So our focus is all on the grassroots, where we run 2 leagues. One is the amateur league, which is for non-professional esports athletes, which are basically people who are being paid by the org. So they are not allowed to participate. And second is the collegiate league, which is for college students only. The success stories has been that winner of our, I think 2 years back, our amateur league was taken over as a roster for Revenant Esports, which is one of the leading esports for Valorant. Second was the winners of our Pokemon Unite was hired by Orangutan as their roster. So that has been a success story. And we also do pro tournaments to basically complete the journey of the players. So in the pro circuit, we invite the winners of our collegiate league and our amateur league and invite teams from professional circuit also for them to get the exposure. That's all I can say about our journey as far as we go right now.
Very interesting. Any particular kids that you remember, who stood out and performed?
Yeah, there was
really
one kid called Jim Kazama. He actually ended up representing India in Clash Royale in Asian Games 8 years back. So yes, there has been success stories, but too little to mention actually.
Right. Okay. Too little to mention. Then, what is the big India opportunity, Akshat? And what do you believe are some of the key driving factors for India's youth when it comes to esports? What's making esports particularly popular? And is it a lucrative career option for millions? Is there that much capacity so far?
So we'll be here till tomorrow with those 4 questions. Short answer is, this is a sport. And for some of you, I think the audience has lawyers, audience has game developers. Just a very simple clarification of what is esports is very important for you guys to understand. Esports is where you watch professional players play against each other in a game of skill. And that game of skill is a video game title. And the final result of the... It killed itself. No, it's back. The final result of that competition, I know this is going to be a mouthful, so I'll say it again. The final result of that competition is the difference of physical responses between the players. Fundamentally, what I'm trying to go ahead and say is, I'm faster than you. Right? And that's why it's a sport. Sports definition is, by the way, you'll be like, what is a sport? The Olympics actually came up with a very simple definition long ago. It says, Citius, Altius, Fortius, stronger, higher, faster. When two competitors, teams, players go out and compete in sport, they're trying to be higher, faster, or stronger than the other person. That's sport. That's why it's physical. Mental is not sport. Mental is a game. And it's fine. But, and this definition keeps changing. But the reason it's in the Olympics, the reason it has got to the Asian Games, is it suffices on the definition of the word sport. In esports, I'm fundamentally faster than you. I can look at you faster, I can shoot at you faster, I can score a goal faster, I can respond on a key faster, I can touch the screen faster. It doesn't matter what. I can just be faster than you. And at the level of a Virat Kohli versus gully cricket, I'll just do it so many times that my definition is going to be the top 1 percentile in the world. That's why people watch people play esports. They don't watch them because it's Netflix. They don't watch it because it's a YouTube which is there. They watch it because the person who's performing on it is so much better than you. And then around that comes the stories, right? You still have to be storyteller. We are all in the entertainment business. The topic is the next frontier of entertainment. You just have to be not WWE. You have to be a little more real. And if you can keep that, then the answer is it has the sports opportunity. So your question is, what's the big opportunity in India? It's the same as cricket or kabaddi or hockey or any other sport that you go ahead and watch on television. I don't know how many of you watched, but every year, we've done it for 3 years now, we have something called BGMS that's run live on Star Sports. It's on the same channel that has IPL, which is there. People watch it for 3 weeks in a row. It's one of the top 3 sports watched in the country of India. After cricket, kabaddi, it's esports. So the ability to go ahead and get this and have this aha moment exists. But that top level professional activity, just like real cricket, is for maybe 200 to 500 people. If you are an IPL player, now cricket in India, for example, has about 2,000 players who are professional people who get paid to play. I think India has about 40 professional, all-time, 100% esports players. I think they'll become 100. But that's the opportunity. It's just like going and saying, "Mujhe influencer banna hai." Well, that's fine. There'll be 1 million, 10 million influencers, but there'll be only 10 of them who will really be millionaires.
Right. Okay. So it will take time, but the ecosystem is getting in place. And let's also talk about, since we're talking about esports being the next frontier of entertainment, and Akshat touched upon stories and storytelling, which brings me to my next question to you. You are in the business of creating stories around gaming and around esports. What's the sort of content that you're producing, and what's the impact that you're able to create with these stories? Give us a few examples.
So kids are playing. So though they are our prime audience, but they are not the audience we want to give the message to. So we are attracting more parents, teachers, because those are the restrictions on kids being allowed to play. Look at my home, my wife. I've been a gamer since age of 10. I'm 50 now, so 40 years I played games, but my wife is totally against gaming. Only game she played was Ludo during COVID, but that's only her exposure. Once I took her to a speech by Akshat, and then she realized, oh, you are in sports business, not in the gaming business. So thanks, Akshat, for that.
So Akshat just upped your ante at home.
Of course, because when I tell, it's husband telling, so wife is like, well, I don't care, but I made sure she attended one of Akshat's session, and she really got to. So she's okay giving football training to my kid, spending money 4 hours every week, 4 hours every day, but for esports, she doesn't want that because that mental block that he's playing games. So to change that, we have gone into content production, which is long form, short form, all kind of production, where these are true stories, real life stories, but in the background, there is a gaming component. So that's how we are taking the message that gaming is not bad if done in moderation. That's the message we want to communicate, which is true. Excess of everything is bad, even drinking water. So with that message, we are taking these stories on free-to-air OTT platforms, and that's the way we are looking at it.
But, and there are a number of parents in this room, and perhaps they share that concern that your wife does, that, what if my child gets addicted to gaming? And where do you draw that line of balance that, you said that it's important to moderate it. But if a child wants to become pro at gaming, at what age or at what level do you draw that fine line that, this much education is important? Kids today want to drop out of school, want to drop out of college, they want to become entrepreneurs, or they want to pick up gaming. And I'm not saying which is right and which is wrong, but as parents, everybody is in a conundrum on what route to take.
A lot of kids come to me, I want to drop out college, I want to work in your company, or I want to become an esports athlete. And I said, just in case that doesn't work, I wanted to be graduates at least. So we don't hire anybody who is less than a graduate in our company. But to give them exposure, we hire them as interns, but not full-times. So I'm very clear. The message which I talk to a lot of students. Like I have a session on 19 in Maya again, where I'm going to be saying the same thing again, that graduation is important as a backup plan, if nothing else. But that's what I've been telling everyone, and luckily I've been successful in that.
Akshat, your views on that as someone who's been gaming from age 5?
Kids don't know anything. Don't listen to your kids. No, on a very serious note, what's the difference between entertainment and practice. Your kid comes and says, I want to be a cricket. I watch Dhoni. I want to be a cricketer. I want to drop out of school. What would you answer?
Yeah, no, you have to complete your education and you've got to train on the side.
But I'm really good. I'm really good. Look at Sehwag, look at all of these people. I am really good. I don't want to be a Dravid, but I'm really good.
But I love Dravid.
I know, so do I, by the way. There's very few Dravids, and there's a lot of people who will be like, I want to go ahead and do. And by the way, the answer to this question is, you should be a sportsman, and you should have already decided to be a sportsman by the age of 10, right? Because that will give you the 20 years life to be a sportsman. Your body stops responding. My hands, like I used to be a professional gamer, my hands just slower, right? I will be slower because of life. I age. So the answer to your question is, when a kid comes or a parent comes and says, I want to be an esports athlete, I'm saying, okay, what skills have you learned today? So if you want to be a cricketer, you don't play matches to learn skills. You learn skills and then put them in matches. So if the answer of the kid is, I play video games 8 hours a day, I'm like, you're wasting 6 hours a day. Right? Did you learn something today? Did you go ahead and have your finger speed? Has your finger speed gone up? Has your hand-eye coordination gone up? Is your map awareness better? Is your communication with your teammates better? Have you gone to the gym to go ahead and make sure that your exercise and your shoulder, like every sport goes and puts pressure on certain parts of your body. Esports is fundamentally you play like this, right? This, back. Cricketer, you have to go ahead and be in a certain space. Football, you have to go ahead and have great calves, which is there. So every sport puts pressure on you. My question to you is, did you go ahead and hone your skills today? If you've not honed your skills, I tell the parent, the kid is saying, I'll watch Netflix and I'll be a movie maker. No, you don't become a movie maker by Netflix. You actually go to Netflix, you go to film school to go ahead and learn it. Have you learned the skills? Without skills, video gaming is just entertainment.
Right, okay. So that puts things into perspective. Now, when you assess the competitive gaming landscape in India, when you look at competitions that are organized in India, is there work to be done as far as professionalism is concerned? And what more can be done to engage fans better, to have more, robust experiences for fans as well as for players of international stature, perhaps? And how far away from that are we?
We are the best in the world. This room probably doesn't know about it. The viewership on our solo large esports title, which is BGMI, is among the top 3 sports in the world. Our player base is bigger than most other player bases in the world. We just need to be great and accept we are great at something that has come in from our part of the world, rather than trying to be great at a derivation that comes from external. What does that mean? There's games like Counter-Strike, Dota 2, League of Legends, Mobile Legends, Bang Bang. They're equivalent to, let's take, archery, taekwondo, figure skating, synchronized diving, which is there. Sure, you can be better at any of those to try and compete against the world, but I think that'll be when India becomes a developed economy. I think having conversations around things we are great in, 1983 cricket moment for India, is to go ahead and be world championships at the games where we came in at the grassroots or the grass level. So on the game BGMI, which is another country, PUBG Mobile, Peacekeeper Elite, PUBG, BGM, Battlegrounds, Korea, if you take a game genre, which you are great in, we are just waiting for a seminal moment where the 1983 moment happens, where this game is now part of the Olympic movement, and in the Olympics, the gold medal winner is India. You don't have to do too much. We are anyway among the top 3 in the world. So the only question is, are you winning a bronze, or are you, which is there? So on an equivalence level, we are equivalent to our really awesome women cricket team who just lost to Australia, but gave them a run for their money. We're there. We'll get there.
Okay, that's promising. Anurag, you want to add to that? As far as the Indian competitive landscape is concerned, What's missing? What are some of the big challenges that need to be addressed?
So I think one thing not missing from mine on Akshat's table is professionalism. That is among the players. Training facility for them, which is a bigger concern for me, for these guys becoming athletes, that is what is stopping them. So I think that, and it won't come in a day. That infrastructure won't come in a day, we know that. But are we working towards that? That's my question to organizations. Because if you see, there are maybe 4 or 5 organizations who have that kind of a setup, but what about other 1,000 organizations which exist in the country? I agree, everybody can't afford or can't manage that, but we need some facilities for these athletes to basically train, at least on the physical part of their training. So that is the only thing which I think is missing, Akshat.
But I think just to double click on that, right? I think with the top 4 or 5 teams in our country, we are at an evolutionary stage in India on esports that is closer to club cricket than to having a sports authority of India going and sending the best which is there. So we don't have a national cricket academy or whatever. So we have great teams, let's say 4 of them, 5 of them. And let's say this is 1995, 2000, where you have Indian Railways as a team, you have Tata as a team, you have Air India as a team. They're good, solid teams and that are kind of sustainable on their own. But you don't have a national team, right? You don't have a national team because teams as a national thing just need to be able to play on a national level, which is there. So I think eventually we will get to national team status, whether they go ahead and then borrow, again, example, the Spanish football team might take people from Barcelona, from Real Madrid to go ahead and make the Indian team. In India, it might be from Rajasthan Royals and Mumbai Indians or wherever. But the ability for a national team to go ahead and unlock is something that is a second layer which we are waiting. But for that to happen, something very funnily up there has to happen, which is we need the Maidan in Chopati. We need the Sachin Tendulkar's little place that is there. We don't have academies in our country. We actually just have IPL teams, and then we're trying to go ahead and make national teams. And what Anurag's doing is if that grassroots, whether it is at a college level, they can have a college cricket club or an esports club or a local locality at Ghatkopar United, which is there. Yeah. Exactly. But they need that academy. They need that academy at that level, which is a local playing area, because finally you make teams with your friends. And the ability, while this is all nice and internet, which is there, the ability to sit together and play with your games will always have better communication.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's the biggest challenge in building that at the grassroots level? Of course, infrastructure is a problem. And where does the government step in? What's on your policy wish list?
I think my answer would not be liked by a lot of policymakers or with the government is that we don't want government involvement because that's the only reason for success of IT industry. So I'm of that opinion that, of course, not major involvement, but yes, that validation, that esports is a sport, that validation we require, which is to a certain extent has been given 2 years ago. But again, that doesn't clearly define what that esports is a sport. So I think that is the only validation we want because then the barrier of parents that my kid is an esports athlete goes out. Because that barrier I still face as doing the grassroots level, that is the biggest barrier we face.
And I think that's changing. Last 20 days, Bihar has announced the Bihar Esports Championship. Tamil Nadu actually Mr. Stalin just announced esports as part of the CM Games, which has a prize pool of 100 crores, not just for esports, but all sports title put together. And all of this is coming from the inclusion of esports at the Olympic level, right? Now, once you have that, it percolates down into credibility, which is there. We now have 5 states of our country that 20 days ago did not have esports programs. And they have announced them. And I believe there'll be another 20 in the next, which is there. So.
And this is going to be at school level or college level?
They're not saying school or college. So they're saying state games. State games has a ability for anyone to go and do it. But think of it, all of us who've been kid, whether we were playing basketball, cricket, or whatever, with the districts, zonals, nationals. But before that, there is the state games. I think state games inclusion has come. I don't know whether it is right. They don't even know half the policy. They don't know how to choose the games. But that's fine. I think that's just evolutionary cycle.
Beginning at this. So Bihar is actually a school tournament where they said games, because every game has a certain age group, so they said BGMI, you have to be 18, 17 plus, and other games you need to be 13 plus. That's okay, but that's a high school level games.
Right. So from an entertainment perspective, now all of us are watching our entertainment on OTT platforms, at least in the urban areas, and tier 2, tier 3 towns as well have caught up to a large extent. And we heard Minister Kharge earlier talk about the esports viewership going up by about 83%, if I'm not wrong, in the last 2 years because of, COVID happening, streaming really taking up. In the content space then, how is that impacting your business? And what is the big India opportunity you're seeing there? Is there a whole new revenue stream out there for, gaming companies?
So we are not a gaming company. That's a major difference I like to bring. So we are a esports tournament organizer, broadcast, and a production house. So what we are building in terms of content is real life stories, basically stories, which has a gaming as a background component. So that's how we are bringing it up. And really, it's about selling the story to the OTT platform. Whether it's has gaming or non-gaming doesn't matter. I think Akshat would be answering that much better because one of his group companies is part of doing the playground there. So I think he'll be able to answer that much better. But we are just announcing our first show.
All right. Akshat, you want to add to that?
I think the OTT landscape, unfortunately, in India is decimated. It is what it is. I think it is moving towards a duopoly or maybe a triopoly, which is there. And there were Loco and Router, two really good platforms that are in India. Both of them happen to be good friends, but I think the viability of that business, as the same answer across the world, OTT is independent of their main program. Besides Netflix, none of them have done well. Amazon Prime Video works because Amazon exists. Disney has Disney Plus, and etc. So the ability for OTT platforms to go ahead and be great places for live sports, I think it's limited down to Disney RIL, which has one platform, and then you have Viacom, then you have Z, and then you have Sony in there. But between them, it's also the sports landscape, right? It's a derivation of the sports landscape. But having said that, gaming and esports is also about entertainment, as Anurag was mentioning. I think we have one of the highest watched shows in the country of India called Playground. We've licensed it to Amazon Prime, Mini TV. And under Mini TV, it has about a 400 million viewership across a season. It does really well. We're now exporting it to around 3 other countries in the world. And it's gaming entertainment, right? It's young kids trying to go in, be extremely naughty and trying to go ahead and run. It's The Voice meets Big Brother, Big Boss, which is there. It's a fun format. If you've not watched it, just watch it on Mini TV. It's always the #1 show there.
Fantastic.
And then you'll be able to go ahead and see the aha moment that happens, right? Which is, Mom, I'm on esports, I'm on Star Sports. Or, Mom, I'm on Playground on the same Mini TV that you're in. The aha moment which is there is, I'm a superstar. Yeah. And I'm not a YouTube superstar. Unfortunately, that's not considered as cool by parents yet. But they consider OTT a little higher than YouTube or Instagram. And TV still has the highest credibility that comes in, which is there. And I think that will remain in India for the next 10 years as we are there. So I don't think OTT is going anywhere, but the legitimacy and the price points you get from linear mainstream OTTs and then live streaming is the waterfall.
So after Playground, what's next from your stable?
Look, we have about 5 other shows that are in incubation. One of them we are looking at is to do with maths. You'd be pleasantly surprised to go ahead and say we're doing something phenomenal around chess. We've been doing it for about 2 years now. We run a fairly large chess program. And we found out that the overlap of chess with maths is extremely high. So can we do something like a math bee equivalent to a spelling bee, which is there. And Indians love maths. And it's always nice to go ahead and watch your kid do mental maths on television. So we'll try something like that.
Very interesting. Well, I there's one question that I want to ask from a child's perspective or from a parent's perspective. At what point does a parent decide that now my child is ready to go pro?
I think it's going to be very tough for a parent to take that call, according to me. That's more of a kid's call, whether he wants to. But as Akshat said, kids don't know anything about that. So as I said, whether your skills are there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that would depend. But that decision is actually not taken by kid or by the parent. It's the performance of the kid in an event which defines whether he's ready to go to pro or not. So that's my perspective, because my kid is good at playing game, but he has never competed because he's just 10 years old. So I don't allow him to compete in tournaments. But he has the potential. I can see that. But I'm putting a hold because that game requires to be age of 14 to participate.
Right.
So that's the whole thing. I think that's a very tough question. I think it's more to do with instinct. But if the kid says, I want to go for pro, I would rather let him go and fail than keeping him back and not let him come in the front.
Right.
We've seen something interesting around that. And this worked. I think it was a punt to try and make it work, but it does. So I'm going to say everything to the parents, and I'm happy if you go ahead and say it, which is there. Be with your kid. If your kid says, I am a great singer, you make them sing. And you go ahead and listen to them sing. If the kid says, I'm a dancer, you look at them dance. If the kid says, I'm a painter, you look at their painting. And then you say that it is good. That means you have a fundamental acceptance of what is painting, what is art. How many parents have played a video game with their kid? So if you don't play video games with your kid, you'll always be judgmental. Play. And guess what? In the game, when you see the top 1% of the world of India is your kid, you'll know.
Then you'll be proud.
Then you'll be proud.
Right.
But if you just go ahead and say, I have no idea what this kid is doing, they're playing video games all the time, but you'll not go to their performance when they're singing or dancing or whatever, how will you know?
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to shift gears and let's talk a little bit about technology as well. We are in very exciting times as far as technology is concerned. We're talking about generative AI, we're talking about machine learning, LLP models, etc., LLM models. Can you expand on what kind of tools and technologies are going to transform the gaming space in the next couple of years? We are already seeing virtual reality, augmented reality related games, but what next? From an entertainment factor particularly, since that's the lens we are looking at right now?
I think the volume of content would go up just because the speed to market will go up. I think all the AI tools you that mentioned, LLMs, will go ahead and have a very Zara moment, fast fashion moment to gaming. For the longest time, Haute Couture was the biggest one, right? You'd have a big show, there'd be a Louis Vuitton, who'd go ahead and put up a really nice dress. Everyone will say it's very avant-garde. They'll take a huge amount of money to go ahead and build it, and then it'll come out, and it'll take about 6 months for someone to go ahead and copy it and put it down. Zara does it tomorrow. I think, and the ability for them to go ahead and see that is a phenomenal integration on supply chain. The ability to go ahead and look at a design, look at going and translating that to a factory, having a factory merchandiser going and designing it and getting an output out, going and then running it, manufacturing it, and within a period of 5 days, manufacture, ship it, distribute it, and put it up on a mannequin in Paris or in Delhi or Dubai, is the ability, and then around them comes the influencers and that ecosystem which is there. I think that speed will now come to gaming. Typically, a great game used to go ahead and take 2 years to build. I think that great game will still take 2 years to build. Maybe 1.5, because you'll have some optimizations. But an okay game used to go ahead and take 6 months to build. It'll now take 7 days to build.
Wow.
And
7 days.
And hence the ability for great content will come in.
And are we going to see made in India games?
Of course.
Ruling the world?
I was just talking to Ashish sir, who's sitting in the front row. Again, I'll tell you something, we don't understand it. India, 5 years ago, had about 400 games that were coming out of the country. This year at IGDC in Hyderabad, which is there, we have over 20,000 games coming out of India this year. Wow. 20,000 games. That's how much India is going to be making, which is there. Because it takes 2 kids and a dream and sitting in front of ChatGPT to help it code to go ahead and get a game out, right? It doesn't have to be the world's best game. It just has to be a game that you love and 10 of your friends love, and it's engaging, and hopefully people will like it, and then you'll build your next game, right? And that's fine.
Fantastic.
And I was sorry to interrupt. I was adding to the whole conversation. I said, back in '99, when I got into gaming, we were just 3 studios. Me, Rajesh, and Vishaal. So from that, coming to 20,000 games coming out this year is brilliant.
It is. Well, that deserves a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, we've run out of time, but since we have a final minute, if there is any audience member, whoever fastest hand going up first can ask a question, and there he wins it. So can we have a mic for the gentleman, please? This side. Oh, sorry. He's got the mic. Go ahead. Okay.
We'll get both of you to tap. That's fine.
Please.
Okay, so okay, cool. Hi. So basically, right, I've been into esports for the past 7 years now, and there's a lot of potential in underdog scene for esports, right? And NODWIN having the potential, and the kind of tournament that you guys organize. So my question is, why not try to support the underdog ecosystem for esports community and maybe some kind of training ground for underdog esports player? What is the blocker to do something like that?
2 answers. Bandwidth. It'll always come down to that, which is there. Always a decision between, hey, should we do this and this? And I honestly believe I can't do everything alone. It's impossible. And I have friends like Anurag who's doing a phenomenal job of that. Why should I go ahead and, like, if I get into that space, let's just play it out, right? I go ahead and do this, then he has to go figure out something else to go ahead and do. And he actually does a phenomenal job. And by the way, 4 years ago, all of the tournament organizers was trying to do what NODWIN does, right? Like, everyone wanted to be pro, which is there. The problem with competition is someone wins and someone loses. And we've been fortunate, by God, we've survived here and we have thrived. But that means the other organizations that were esports organizers 4 years ago with us, 5 years ago, don't exist now. But that's wrong in this. So you have to think of it more as an ecosystem play where others should be able to go ahead and do it. I think that there is a huge value system in collegiate and academy sports which is there. But I think that's a responsibility of teams and people in the grassroots to go ahead and build. Because I'll never own a team. Because such a bad conflict of interest, right? IPL owns Mumbai Indians. Like, how does that work? So that's why.
Thank you. And we had a question here. Yes.
Hello. Hi, sir. Hi, Anurag, sir. Hi, Akshat, sir. So this is Anirudh, and I'm an esports player, BGMI esports player, and I follow BGMI close to my heart. Also, so I play against Orgaton, Godlike, Soul, RNT, etc. I share lobby with him. Also, sir, I also run an organization, Ironside Esports, and that's for the underdogs. I organize esports like competitive lobbies for 5,000, 10,000 of tournaments. So I slightly want a suggestion from your side, what I can do better to improve the gaming community in BGMI and all.
Go ahead, man. I think more than improving, now first, I don't like the term underdog. I prefer the term amateurs out there, so that's the first point. But I think to improve the community, we should let them be there. I know there's bickering and all that stuff, but that's part of any sports, yeah. To the extent Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, 2 football teams, they fight against each other. The fans fight against them like crazy. So nothing new in sports. So I think I'm okay with the way it is.
My answer on this is, look, we started off and we treasure the fact that we have anonymous people who are playing video games, right? Let's say if you have a 10,000 rupees, it'll be Ramu, Shamu, Ghansham who are going and playing. And it can be Happy Boy 75 and X. The more we keep things anonymous, the less the chance for rivalries. You want to be Akshat. Akshat, you're Anirudh, right? Sorry? Correct. Yeah, so you have to be Anirudh, which is there. The story is Anirudh's. You can have a tag name. My name was Lord Nod, which is there. You can all have taglines, which is there. But that has to be there. So Mortal is a story, right? Naman Mathur is a story which is there. We all know that story which is there. We have to be able to go ahead and build the stories. And the stories are never built anonymously. So my suggestion to you is, if you want to go ahead and make that community better, either hyper-localize it to a region. So if you're from Delhi and you're from Greater Kailash, then it's the Greater Kailash Club, which is there. But people who have to come and play, they can play online. But once a week, you have to come to the club to play. We have to have real stories and real people, because only when real stories and real people are there, then the ability to go up. Because I need to be able to say, "Tu kaise khelta hai yaar? Kya karta hai? Kahan marta hai? Kab sota hai? Agar tujhe kaun se school jata hai? Kab aata hai?" Matlab, if I don't know this, then I'm like, it's 9 p.m. He's not here, but I don't know how to contact him.
Right. Well, that's all the time we have today, but our speakers are here for a while. Please connect with them offline. Thank you all for being a participative audience, and thank you, gentlemen, for your very, very incredible insights into esports as the next frontier of entertainment.